It's almost time to welcome in the year of the goat on Valentine's Day. Tet in Boston is an annual Vietnamese New Year's festival organized by the Vietnamese American Community of Massachusetts and the Intercollegiate Vietnamese Student Association that every year attracts about 7,000 attendees to a venue in Dorchester. It's the largest annual gathering of Vietnamese in New England, and it's my pleasure to welcome this year's co-chairs of this important community event, Jeannie Doe and David Vo. Welcome to Neighbor Network News.
Thank you for having us.
You're welcome. All right, so let's talk about what New Year means to the Vietnamese. I mean, a lot of people don't realize that this is the very biggest holiday in the calendar. Is that correct, Jeannie?
That is definitely correct. This is a time of year where a lot of families come together and just have a time of celebration.
I understand that a lot of grandparents or older generations like to bring the younger kids who might think, I don't know, if maybe the family Vietnamese culture is a little bit corny, they perceive it, but they want them to learn the customs and the music. Is that right, Dave?
Right. I mean, New Year's is one of the larger and most important holiday for us, just because there's a lot of old tradition that comes along with it, which is like giving out the lucky money or the lisi. So, you know, it's kind of the incentive. Red envelopes, yeah. It's kind of like the incentives for kids to come home and see the older folks.
I see.
But yes, I mean, there's a lot of tradition. That's the one time where everyone really makes an effort to get back home and, you know, see everybody that you need to see. And that's one of the reasons why we hold this event, because family is not just within your household, but it's also within your community. So.
Right, and you do have still the cultural things with ancestors. I mean, it's really hard, I would imagine, to have all the contemporary things and also the ancient traditions, or they just all mill around in this big event?
How our event is set up, we keep as much of the original traditions as we can, which is the lighting of the incense, praying, and those are part of our opening ceremonies. So we try to keep this event as traditional and as modernized as possible to, one, keep the younger generation still engaged in learning about the culture.
Now, speaking of the younger generation, I understand that a lot of the person power for this comes from organizations like yours, college students like BU and other. I think most universities have Vietnamese Student Association. And what do you guys do for this?
Sure. So we are very fortunate to have the New England Intercollegiate Vietnamese Student Association, or known as New England IVSA. And what IVSA does is strives to unify all of the Vietnamese student associations in this area. And of course, there are so many colleges in New England area that there are also a lot of VSAs. And with that, we do gather all of these students together for leadership building and also for increasing involvement in the community, such as for Tet in Boston.
I see. Now, I know that seeing women in traditional costumes or doing traditional dances is one of the things that you see. I don't know if men also do it, but all the pictures I've seen are women. But you know, it's a thing that I think everybody thinks is sort of an iconic thing that happens. Is that like is that dances? I mean, do they already know the dances, or do they say this is, I got to do this because this is a traditional dance, or what?
No, actually, I believe there are actually different student groups from these colleges that do traditional dances, and our traditional outfit is called an ao dai, and we learned it from each other. So a lot of the Vietnamese Americans who were born here probably do not know much of the dance routines, but we do have a mix of Vietnamese International and Vietnamese American, and also people who might have learned it from their family, so that we teach each other these routines.
All right, another thing, and I'm got to be careful on how I phrase it, I know that sometimes people perceive Vietnamese communities as closed end, and that they don't like to, you know, get involved with the larger culture. But one of the great things about Tet in Boston is you have many, I don't know if they're vendors or information groups that might come and have, like I saw a puppet, like a Vietnamese woman dentist showing, you know, brushing your teeth with the things there, so that it was culturally appropriate. Is getting information to the community that might not typically reach out to English speakers an important part of it?
I mean, most definitely, especially for us being involved. Like, we do reach out to local businesses, doctors, dentists, and mainly the schools. Tufts Dental is a large supporter of our event, and they always have students that come. So even though that there is the language and generation gap, we do cater as much as we can to the community as far as being bilingual. Originally that started back in 1989 by Northeastern University, and it has grown so much throughout the years, but we still have those original founders with us, still working with the New Year's Festival. So that's where we're able to kind of, I guess, explain in language-wise and help that language barrier.
Now, do many people who are not Vietnamese come to this? I mean, are they curious, or is it mostly Vietnamese, reliving traditions,
I think generally it is the majority of the Vietnamese people, but we do have a lot of supporters who do come that are non-Vietnamese. I think last year we had over 25 politicians from around the state come and support us. And
I know you've gotten greetings from the president. And,
yes.
I mean, for an event in Georgia, that's great.
Yeah. So we definitely reached out, and we're trying to bridge that generation gap, especially with having Jeannie involved with us this year is very helpful.
As I understand, you also have other events that maybe raise funds for this. Is this correct? You have
right throughout the year
higher ticket events.
The evening event is our higher ticket event. That's a night concert. I think we have a total of 4 well-known artists coming in that evening to perform, and that is catered towards a little bit older crowd. It's kind of like an evening for the adults.
Yeah.
This year, luckily, it landed on Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for a place to bring your date, that is definitely the place to bring it to.
Well, so it seems like an incredibly. I think that somebody who is not Vietnamese, but has some interest in the culture, or maybe is in a relationship with someone, would benefit very much for this, to see all these different generations, the companies trying to sell people loans and everything else there. What has been your experience when you went to this for the first time? What did you think? I mean,
I thought it was actually the first time I went to Denton, Boston. It was very, very exciting. It's really fun, whereas once you pay the $5 admission, you go in and there's so many things to do. So since there's a lot of vendors who have these children games or just regular games, and then you can also learn a lot about health or just anything else.
Right, you've got calligraphy and everything. Well, we're running out of time. Where should people go to find out about TET in Boston? What's your website?
Our Facebook.
Facebook, is that what you?
Yeah.
Yes.
So just go TET in Boston Facebook.
Yep, TET in Boston. That will lead you right to that page, and that will have all the updated information.
All right, well, thank you very much,
Thank
Jeannie.
you so much.
It's a pleasure. David, good to see you.
Thank you.